that question can be thought of in just my mental answer, but in all honesty, it's in my heart. I'm just one big kid, and I am so grateful to have that heart that is receptive to other kids' hearts that aren't as fortunate.
Who was the mentor in your life who made all the difference? Or maybe you didn't have one. Who did you need back then? Welcome to the Mentoring Partnership of Miami County podcast, where we shine a light on those walking alongside kids with harder stories here in our community. If you want to show up for a kid from a hard place, complete the no commitment form in the description and we'll guide you down the path that best fits you. Now join us as we explore the transformative power of showing up and how becoming the person you needed can change a child's life, and maybe even your own. Hey, Dennis. Hey, friend. You have been showing up for kids from hard places for years now. I think since 2018 in schools and Dayton Public Schools, Northridge Schools, and now you're showing up every week at the Troy Rec. It's so fun to witness your story and to watch you step in and show up. Share with the listener, what have you seen in the past years? What have you witnessed in these kids? The goodness, the power, the resilience, the pain, all of it.
Well, it's been very rewarding. I can say that, and I hope that it's been inspiring for them. The part that I try to keep my focus on is that children are interested when they want to know what you know, but they become connected when they know that you care about them. And when they know that relationship, they start asking more questions. They're not sitting just on the sidelines, and they begin to start asking more about who I am and, more about my life and what I so-called bring to the table. And I would say through the years, as I say, it's been very rewarding. But for some of these kids, I have come to find it has not. And unfortunately, those homes that are broken, those families, their lives are just there's such a lid on it that they don't even speak about it. They don't even share. They don't even open up about that because they are hiding their personal life. And as young people may be directed by their parents or whoever's taking care of them, for whatever, in many reasons, they just don't open up. They just can't. And those are the ones of the broken, lost children that primarily is the biggest challenge. And that continues on. And in the meantime, just have a desire for children and just having a good life that a child should have.
So as you've been with some of these kiddos, you have seen some of them transform, some of them lighten up, some of them being drawn to you. I imagine there are times where they give you a sneak peek into their story, some that don't. Tell us the story of maybe one kid that you've witnessed a little bit of change in. A lot of change is not verbalized. There's some action associated with it. And I even heard a story the other day where someone 30 years later came up to an individual and they didn't remember them, but they made all the difference in the world because they continued to show up. So tell us a little bit about how kids maybe have shown up that way.
Well, that is very good. I think of one in particular here some years ago that he was just this spunky little kid that, you couldn't help but love him. I mean, he's just this cute little kid, but when you got to know a little bit more about his home life, it was it was kind of messy, very messy. And I only picked that up along the way the more I got to know him through the school year. But then it came to the school year's end. And at the end of the school year, there in May, he had worked on prior to that in, let's say, April. He wanted me to come to his birthday party, which was in the summer in July, and to go through all the loops to have that happen. We made it happen. And to do that uh, was so eye opening for me to come to his home and the excitement on his face for his Christmas party that only consisted of three kids, myself and my wife. We came with his two parents. And as we came, we were there just a short time. We brought him a gift, but the conditions of the home were very noticeable, with insulation falling from the ceiling, and just it needed some help. And I will say that right there was such an eye opener for me in this young man's life that changed a little bit more of my heart to what could I do. And limited, um, I did follow up with him, but then COVID came, and it just really changed the whole platform of connecting with these kids. But yeah, he was just on the outside, this little kid that you just couldn't help but love, but on the inside and in home, and between him and his one brother and the family and stepdad and the condition of the homes and condition of the home. Yeah, it was an eye opener. But yeah, I would hope to one day see him again, and how well he's doing, I hope.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Kids from harder stories that we can only imagine what it's like being inside of that environment day in and day out. And I think some people get that honor and that privilege, and some people that might be uh, better. That might be far better than where even how his parents grew up. A lot of times, this generational pain is caught more than taught. But you got to see his eyes brighten when you walked through the door, and unabashedly, unashamedly. So glad that you were there. That's beautiful. Tell us a little bit about your experience so far at the Troy Rec.
Um, yeah, a wonderful experience for me. I love kids, always have. Doesn't matter size or even age. But yeah, the rec center has really been at first trying to find a way to fit in, to allow me to use what talents and gifts that I can bring to the table that would be most useful. And fortunately enough, they have two pool tables. Only one is to be used as the regular table. The other one is for more special levels of play. But I would say that the pool table has really opened up many doors and many opportunities for some of these children that otherwise would not be playing pool. And how I can say that is that I have held a couple of pool challenges there where I go and put on an event and gives them the opportunity to so-called compete. And, there's been a lot of kids that they think of the competition as, you know, no way, I can't do this. There's a handful of kids that regularly play. There's 6 to 8 of them, let's say, and other ones on the sidelines playing on their phones, just kind of alienating themselves off to the sides in their own little time space. But as I kind of tease and pick on them, and may take 10 or 12 or more times to where I don't know if they just give in to say this guy's bugging me and I'll play, but anyway, to get them to play and then to show them how appreciative I am that they took the time to come and play, and then encourage them and just coach them and be their biggest fan, and you can do this, and then they come along and they find that they can do this. And what's really been really just probably the biggest highlighter of all the names that have stepped into this. There are so many, and I say so many, but there's a good half dozen of these kids now that otherwise would have not have played, and I'm talking boys and girls. Then talking them into doing it, they try it, and then the next challenge comes up, and they compete against the big, dominant pool playing kids, and they win. And they're just like, wow. I mean, they light up, they jump, they bounce, they dance. I mean, they just are so excited. So for me, that is so rewarding, and I just can't say enough about how the pool table at the Troy Rec Center has opened up a lot of opportunities, and it's just brought a whole new look to competition with these kids that are not competitive. They don't compete. They just kind of are in their own little space, and to then do that and then win, um, yeah, it's just very exciting.
Hmm. That's awesome. It's not about pool,
No.
but pool serves as the center point of consistent side-by-side interaction. And it sounds like it took you a little bit of time to discover or figure out that that was how you wanted to use that as kind of the way to engage. And I think that shows like continue to show up, endure, get curious, get creative, innovative. I think you talked to Kelly, the Troy Rec, about it. And it probably took some time. Trust for so many of these kids from hard places has been damaged time and time again, maybe at home, maybe at school, maybe in the community. But your consistency in being there, and you might not notice how many kids are watching you, and even if they're on their phones, they know that you're there. They know that you're showing up, and they're probably not at sports because they're at the Troy Rec, like right after school. And so competition might be something where if they compete, they might feel like they're going to fail. And so you're kind of making it safe for them to give it a try,
Hmm.
to compete, to have fun, uh, to live lighthearted, to not be, so stuck into a screen, but start interacting on a human side by side level, not eye to eye, you're not always talking, but continually developing that relationship. That's so fun. Can you maybe tell us a little bit more? Well, how long have you been at the Troy Rec? I think you've been showing up every week. Is that correct?
Yeah.
About?
Yeah, mostly it's once a week for a couple of hours or so, and that has gone on now for 2 school years.
Mm,
And sometimes when they have special events and birthday parties and that, I may take time to uh, go then and do as well. But I just wanted to add to the excitement in that of how some of the kids would step out and step in. it brought to mind that there are even a couple of them that are so excited that there will be at times two kids playing and they'll just walk up and be excited to show the other kid how to play. So now they're coaching and showing, and it's just really cool to see how that has now transformed into their confidence of doing something that they otherwise wouldn't have, and now they're showing others, and just being engaged in that way. I just wanted to share that as well. But
Hmm.
yeah, and you mentioned Kelly. Kelly is just so special, and yeah, she has found in her heart and a way to take the time to think about how that pool table and can be used in a way that may have otherwise been at times almost like a hockey table, because you put a bunch of kids together on a pool table that don't know how to play pool. Yeah, they can think of other ways to use those cue sticks, and it can sometimes be a little crazy.
Yeah. Um, so what draws you into being with and showing up and caring for these kids?
Well, I think um, a lot of that question can be thought of in just my mental answer, but in all honesty, it's in my heart. I'm just one big kid, and I am so grateful to have that heart that is receptive to other kids' hearts that aren't as fortunate. I come from a very good upbringing. I come from a good family, and when I see others that are less fortunate, then it really gets my attention. And then for those that um, are not quite challenged, uh, I just want to let them know that you're there. You connect with them as well. I believe that taking the time for those that just sometimes you can tell just by the shoes on their feet, um, the clothes they wear. Um, one of the programs that I participate at the rec center as well, Lunch Buddies, which will be coming up here soon. I'll spend a whole week with um, a child and reading. And I can say that, there was a child that wore the same clothes all week long. And, you know, just a few weeks ago, there was a young fella that had a pair of shoes that were falling apart. And I took the tape and taped it up enough to get him by so at least he could walk safely. But I think these things, when the opportunity comes about to let him know that, hey, I'm just a big kid. I'm going to do my best to try and be just like you, just with a few extra gray hairs. And, you know, I, uh, I really believe that it's just in my heart is why I gravitate to kids that, especially are from broken homes and broken lives.
Mm, yeah. Thank you for helping all of us remember that we all are big kids. We all love to play in one way or another. I think, just like the movie Hook, when you forget what makes you joyful and what makes you play, you lose a piece of yourself. And likely when you re-engage with kids and you allow yourself to be playful, something connects with that child and you get to enjoy life a little bit more richly
Mm-hmm.
together. And it sounds like that's what going to the Troy Rec has done to your soul.
Been very fulfilling. And I think also that, the experiences I've had there in sharing with them on I do my best in age and memory. I have to sometimes ask them few times, what's your name again? But to remember their name and something about them where you can then have that connection the next time, and that relationship begins to grow and they know that you care. And it's so important. That has been significant.
Hmm. I think, what one of the things that we all need in our lives is to be seen. And when you show up and you remember a kid's name and something about them and you want to spend time with them, I wonder if a part of them goes, "Me? You want to
Mhm.
you want to see me?" I remember when I was in the schools, I just heard so many kids say that they are bad. I know I'm a bad kid. That probably over and over again, deep down inside, they thought that was true. And when someone shows up and says your name and wants to spend time with you, hmm, maybe I'm not so bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
So go ahead.
no, that leveling the playing field for a lot of these
Yeah.
kids, I think, really allows them to realize that. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Dennis, what else do these kids need?
Well, just others that support them, just others that that they can realize that somebody cares,
Mm,
that they can realize that there's another human being that's calling my name, that's contacting me, that's reaching out, that's giving me a fist bump, high five, whatever the case would be, and even more so, asking me, "Hey, how did I do, on my test the other day?" Or, you know, "How did I do, you know, on your vacation?" Or just whatever it may be, um, just so that and then at the same time, kids will be kids, and you can ask them how their day was, and they can tell you nothing other than the fact that it's all right.
mhm,
Or but then to bring out even further is what's the best part of your day, and have them elaborate a little bit about that, and to get them into that conversation more and more, really is is key. And I just am so amazed at what I've seen in kids when they can begin to trust you, when they can begin to just feel a little bit more comfortable with you, to where all of a sudden a kid that kept their distance, that you had to pick on and tease a dozen times, now all of a sudden they're coming up to you and calling you by name, asking you questions about things in their life. And it really shows that the progress of that has made ways. And to know that there are many other people that can let these kids know that they care about the kids. So if there's a support group, or just one extra person in a child's life that could take a little bit of time, an hour a week, I don't know, whatever it may be, I think is just significant in a child's life. And then they begin to look forward to that. And, that even could be the biggest, greatest, brightest hour of their week.
mm, hmm. I it sounds like I can't help but feel the joy that you feel, uh, having the privilege of showing up and, uh, giving your attention and presence to them. And in so many ways, it feels like there's likely resistance from an adult to say, "I don't know if I have much to give. I don't think I'd be very good at this. I don't know if, it'll make a difference." Um, uh, whatever the barriers are internally, it sounds like on the other side of those barriers, especially if you're doing it in a community with other youth mentors, friends, that there's just so much joy on the other side, that there's win-win. Like no one's losing in this arrangement. Everyone kind of gets to make the world a little bit brighter place.
Mm. I like the win-win.
Yeah, we all do. So,
Yes.
Dennis, remind me. I'm allowed to ask you. Remind me how old you are.
67.
67. Remember. I think I said 62 the other day. Um,
Yeah, and I like that.
um. So 67. You've been retired for a couple of years, and you and I have been in some conversations with some other folks in Dayton and now some folks in Miami County around this idea of reimagining retirement, to not just retire, but to refire, to live one's encore chapter, to leave a legacy, to take all that you've gained and gathered, your story that matters over the years, and be able to leverage that for this experience, even caring for a kid from a hard place just one or once a week. Tell us a little bit more about that invitation for those who are approaching retirement, just retired, they've been retired for a little while. Um, yeah, share with us what that's been for you and kind of what you hope or imagine for retirees in Miami County.
Mhm. Well, I would say initially that thought for someone retiring um, may be a little bit something they're unfamiliar with initially at first. Meeting someone, yeah, can be a challenge. But when a child has been entered into your world because of one reason or another that they want to be there or are looking forward to your presence in their life just for that 1 hour a week or whenever it is, it always is is challenging at first, but all of those walls come down once they feel that you care and that you're listening and you're paying attention. You don't have to knock down those walls. Those walls come down significantly when they feel as though you just care. And I think to allow them to recognize this and experience this and realize this is just taking the time. And to just take the time to be there, to show up is so really simple. And you don't have to have a PhD. You just have to show up and give them your time. And I think for retirees, it's something maybe they've never done, but when they realize it's not that challenging, and at the same time, they may be juggling in their new retired life. I have this amount of time that I'm bored or that, gee, what do I do next? Yeah, I think it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for them to open up um, their eyes and ears to just say, okay, what is this? And I believe that in an earlier part of life, life is busier, your life's consumed with many other things. It may not sound like something that they are interested, but I think for retirees, they're at a point in their life where they have time. And to have that time of boredom, fill it up with a little bit of significant time, uh, 1 hour a week, whatever it may be.
Mm. So you've received so much joy from showing up, and so have the kids. You're able to. it's probably a bright spot in your week. So the invitation to retirees to reimagine retirement and leave this legacy for a kid from a harder place. The invitation is, come on, let's give it a shot. And I think
Mhm.
something that you have shown me about who you are is that you love to connect with people. You love to share the good news. You love to kind of help guide, coach. You're a good hang, and when there's a retiree approaching retirement, or maybe they've been in retirement for a while, absolutely the invitation to come to the Troy Rec and maybe just talk to you, watch you, witness, you know, that's an invitation. But probably throughout Miami County, the more people that aren't retiring but refiring, those who are reimagining retirement, I envision, and I share with me what you envision, a whole community of retirees that are all living this encore chapter of significance and meaning and purpose and living their best life because, they're serving their family, they're serving their community. There's other ways to live it. But this in particular can be a really joy-filled communal adventure. Um,
Mm.
Kind of what strikes you about that? What are you hearing?
Well, from my experience of living in a community with many other retirees, I think that, I joke about a lot of things, and in that, as I share with them, is that we all have one thing in common: we're old.
Hmm.
But not all of us are retired. There are some still working, and it's a small percentage, maybe 10% or less. But for the other 90% or more, I have experienced within that socialness of retirees that, yeah, they're looking to find other ways, and maybe just finding purpose, where some of those look forward to golf. They may look forward to their place in Florida. They may look forward to other parts of the seasons and that. But when they're home here in Miami County, there is a lot of time, and a lot of time to be shared. In what way? I believe that there are a lot of ways, and to just break the ice of the thought of their uh, interest, to just reimagine their retirement in a way that makes them even have the opportunity. You can maybe even feel young again, to be with kids,
Preach.
and to not be just an old person, that you hang with younger kids, and it may even invite that feeling of when they were a kid again. So, you know, many different ways of thoughts with that, but I I know that a lot of retirees, unfortunately, it's just age, but that things become older, things become flat, boredom sets in. But for those that have the time to take the time, can have a significant impact on a child's life.
Hmm. So I think it was a couple of years ago where you had that thing happen in you where you saw the opportunity come up. I think you filled out a form, and I on the team, and there's others on the team, we jumped on the phone and we shared with you this menu of different places that you could plug in. And you said, "Oh, I'll
Mhm,
try this.
mhm.
Maybe I'll try that." You went and explored. You met with Kelly. That's the same process for any retiree. Is in the description of however you listen or watch this. There will be this 2-minute non-committal, no commitment. Just it's a form where it says, "This is who I am, and this is who I might be, where I might be interested in serving. This is where I live, etc." Then we can share with you the menu of options, and if it's you're interested in this, that, or the other. Hopefully we have school-based mentoring here in the future. People can plug in during the day or after school. And then also in the description of this, we're also going to link the idea of this greater Dayton refinement network. So maybe you do want to care for a kid from hard place and kind of create a little sub-relational community of retirees caring for kids from hard places. Maybe you're being invited or called into contributing, to the health and flourishing of our county in a different way. And so we want to hear from you. There's a form on that post as well. But if you're listening to this and you are approaching retirement or retired, just think about it. Just take a small next step internally and externally to see if you want to get to meet Dennis and other people like Dennis, to find this friendship community where there's win-wins all around. Yeah, wouldn't that be wonderful? I always say that, water flows down, that the wisdom, the stories, the testimonies of what I hope are the elders or the sages in our county, that the gift of leaving a legacy gets to flow. And we, as someone who's a little younger, we desperately want you. We want you are wanted, and you are needed, and you are valued and honored for who you are and your story, no matter what it is. It's really important, however you show up, that you get to receive the joy of showing up. So fill out that form, contact us. Dennis, what do you hear in kind of that last thought? And what else did we miss?
Since I've been retired, my experience is of my own, and relating with other retirees in my life, I just can't help but think of how many potential opportunities there are for a rewarding, wonderful experience to fulfill a void and a sense of fulfillment in your life as a retiree. And it's only because I know that where I live, there are a number of retirees. I come across the conversations with them and hearing that there's a lot of time. There's plenty of time, and I think in so many ways to just find that little small part of that time to try it, to just think of and taking it and taking that first step just to see what something new, something different, but maybe something you've wondered about. Just take that step and open up the opportunity to learn more about it and to see if that's something that, may not be as much giving as it is receiving. And you can have that experience if gone about the right way. You can receive so much from, the mentoring of a child and taking your time of retirement and refire it in such a way that, you really can't even imagine until you try.
Hmm. Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting us into the potential story of transformation, redemption, joy, and by modeling it, by being a story, by showing up and inviting so many more into this epic adventure of life where we get to care for each other. So thank you, Dennis. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. It's exciting to think of what will happen over the years as we continue to show up. And any last parting words for the listener?
Um, just know that, you know, that there are those that are watching, and the significance that you can make in others' lives just by what you say and do. And I encourage all of us to just make a way for that, to make yourself know that you have contributed in a good way.
Thank you for using the word encourage. The word encourage literally means to put the courage in you. And so if you feel hesitant or anxious, we as a community of youth mentors put courage into each other, to say, yeah, you are valuable. You are worthy of showing up for these kids. And I know that you have felt that, and we're excited to give that to you if you decide to take that next step.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Dennis. All right. Thanks, listener. Share this with one other person. Let's keep caring for these kids together. Wow. Wasn't that conversation powerful? Chances are, while you were listening, someone else was coming to mind. You wanted them to listen in too. And on behalf of a child, send this episode their way. And if you care about these kids, take a moment right now to subscribe, rate, and review. Because when you do, the algorithm helps more people find these conversations, to find the voice of these kids. And each small step you take helps more adults show up for a child with a harder story. If you want to explore how you can show up, fill out the no commitment form in the description of this episode. Because only together can we help more kids find the support they need. And only together can we help more adults step into the story they were made for.